So today we're looking at Australia Research Training Program, which is one of the most prestigious scholarship programs in Australia. And the order of today's presentation will be that we'll first of all look at why you should think of Australia as somewhere to study. Anybody that does not, especially the guys who are coming for the first time, who are joining us for the first time. Now, if you're joining us for the first time, know that we have been running this webinar longer before today and we've never had any problem. So if you cannot mute your mic, if your background is noisy, I will remove you from the webinar. So please, I don't want us to have any kind of challenge today. So like I was saying, today's webinar is on Australia Research Training Program, which is one of the most prestigious Australian government scholarship for international students as well as for domestic students. So to give an overview, we'll be looking at why you should think of Australia as a study option, country option for your master's or PhD. And we will then move to understanding the Australia Research Training Program. Then we'll talk about how to apply and what you will need to make a successful application. So I wanted to skip this, but for those who are here today for the first time, I just wanted to introduce myself to you. My name is Ape Omede. I am Nigerian, but I'm currently living in Spain. I am a Marie Curie Fellow with CHAGAS, which is Irish Agriculture and Food Development Authority. And I'm currently in Spain as a visiting researcher as part of my fellowship. So to give you a little bit background of what I've achieved in terms of scholarship, I was an All-Tech Young Scientist winner for 2009 and 2011. And between 2008, 2012, and 2016, I won the World Poetry Congress Young Scientist Award. In 2012, 2013, I won the University of New England International Postgraduate Research Scholarship, and at the same time, International Postgraduate Research Award from the same university. In 2014, I got Hamlet Protein Industry Research Grant to support part of my research. And currently I'm a Marie Curie Fellow, which is the reason why I'm in Spain. And all this is over 400,000 US dollars in terms of monetary value. And I always share this just to let you know that you can do it. It's possible. It's not hard. You can be a multiple award winner. You can be a multiple scholarship winner. I know one guy on YouTube that has won, maybe close to 4 or 5 scholarships at different times and all that. So you can do it, and that's the reason why I'm sharing this. And this is my beautiful family. So this webinar is hosted by Scholarship Mastery Academy, which is a platform that prepares students to be fit and ready for scholarship. Our vision is to help as many people as possible to become ready and become fit to win a scholarship. We don't give scholarship, but we will work with you to get you fit and ready to win scholarship. So we do this through webinars like this every Saturday. We share opportunities that are available on our social media platforms. We have an online course, and then we have a training program, which is for coaching and mentoring, specifically dedicated to people who are seeking to get themselves fit and ready for scholarship. So today is Australia Research Training Program. That is what we want to discuss today. So why should you study in Australia? Now, if there is anyone who is actually fit to talk about this, why you should study in Australia, it should be me. It should be me. I mean, because I've lived in Australia for over 7 years now. And like I just shared with you, the University of New England, where I got my scholarship, is located in Australia. So I want to just share a few things with you why you should think of studying in Australia. So the first of all the things I want to share is that in Australia, you have about at least 12 universities that are ranked within the first 200 universities in the world. That is a great achievement. And as a matter of fact, you know that when it comes to international education, there are 4 countries that are more or less like a hot cake for everyone. The first one is US. The second one is Canada. I think 3 of them: the US, Canada, and Australia. So these 3 countries are more or less like where everybody wants to go to. And one of the reasons is that these countries have, of course, UK is there. Of course, UK is there. I won't forget UK. So that they're actually 4. These countries are where the best universities in the world are. And in Australia, there are at least 12 universities that are on the list that made it to the first 200 best universities in the world. In Australia, you can study and work. That is one beautiful thing with thinking of Australia. Every Australian student visa comes with opportunity for you to work while you're studying. While you're studying, you can work for 20 hours, and when you are on break or holiday, you can work unlimited hours. So if you want to kill yourself with work, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, but while the school is on, you can work for just about 20 hours a week. Which is a good thing. So you don't need to apply for a separate work visa if you get a student visa in Australia. Australia has, I should believe or think that Australia has one of the largest or one of the most diverse multicultural community. There is no country, there is no tribe, there is no people that you cannot find in Australia. Even if it is in the smallest communities, you'll be surprised that you'll find people from different background or different countries living in that particular community. So with the town I lived in, I've met people from different parts of the world living in and that gives it a very, very interesting a feeling, or interesting feeling to know that you'll be able to mingle or interact or relate with people from different parts of the world with different culture and different belief system. It makes you more or less a global citizen, knowing what the culture of other people, it's all about. Australia is one of the safest places or countries in the world today. You can agree with me that there are different kinds of things you hear over the news about all different countries all over the world, but with Australia, it is totally different. And maybe the reason being that is far away from most parts of the world. It's more or less like a standalone country, and they have a very good security system in Australia. So before you can come into Australia, it's really, really hard. I mean, it is not like US where people of all sorts can come in and start to commit different kinds of crimes and all that. Anybody who has an Australian visa would tell you it's not that it's hard or difficult, but they have a very, very strong security system that keeps the country very safe. And so if you're looking for a safe country where you don't have to be afraid of anything, then Australia should be an option. Australia has what is called a post-study work visa. So if you finish your master's or finish your PhD and you want to stay for a while, you can apply for the post-study work visa that allows you to continue to live in Australia for the period that you want to stay. I mean, for the period that the visa grants, rather. So for masters, the post-study work visa gives you, I think, 18 months or 2 years to live in Australia and to work. And if you have anything you want to do within that period, you can use that particular visa to cover up for it. If you have a PhD or complete your PhD in Australia, then you will get 4 years, and within those 4 years, it's enough for you to strategize whatever it is you want to do with your life. I know that, and that is one good thing. You know that I think UK just reintroduced it maybe a year ago or so after cancelling it several years ago. But Australia has kept it, and it's one of the good reasons why you should think of Australia as a destination for your study. And so migration opportunity is one of the reasons why you should think of Australia as a destination for your studies, because like I was saying, it has a very easy and straightforward policy in admitting people to Australia, especially if you have the relevant skill. So that's what is the most important in migration to Australia. And they put a lot of things into consideration, including your studying in Australia. They put it into consideration as part of the criteria for allowing you to migrate to Australia. So if you're thinking of migrating from Nigeria and you're looking of somewhere that will be a little bit more easy for you and straightforward, I think that Australia is one of them. So there are a lot of other reasons, but these are the 6 that I feel are most important to our discussion. So we will move on. So I hope that with these 6 points, I'm able to convince you to think of Australia as an option to consider while seeking opportunities for abroad study. So Australia Research Training Program, let's discuss this. So this is an Australian government program that started in 2017, and it is administered by universities in Australia for the Department of Education, Skills and Employment. So the Australian government in 2017 started this program to award scholarships to support research in Australia, but they are not doing it themselves. So what they do is they route it through some of the universities in Australia to administer those scholarships. So there is money available for students who want to do research coming from government, administered through the universities. Secondly, this particular program now replaces the International Postgraduate Research Scheme, which was the one I got in 2012, 2013. So when I went to Australia, I came on International Postgraduate Research Scholarship and Award, like I shared when I was introducing myself. So this RTP is now replacing the International Postgraduate Research Scholarship. So each university involved has its own uniqueness in terms of the process of selecting candidates, awarding the scholarship, and the requirements that are given. So even as much as the money is coming from the government doesn't have control over how the universities, decide who they select. So the universities have free hand to do whatever they want to do in terms of the processes and the requirements for awarding the program. So that makes it a little bit not complex, but just know that when you're thinking of this particular program, which is the research training program, that you have to consider the peculiarity of the university in their own application process and see if it meets whatever it is that you have to present. Number 4, it is specifically a research-based scholarship at master's and PhD levels. What that means is that if you're coming for a taught program, you will not be able to apply for RTP. Let me just say in the passing that next week we are doing another scholarship program that is focused mainly on taught programs. So if you want, you can come back next week, Saturday, and we'll discuss that. But today, this one we're discussing, which is the Australian Research Training Program, is specifically a research-based scholarship. So you cannot get a scholarship if you're applying for a taught program. You must be applying for a research program either at master's level or at PhD level. Okay, so I need to make that clear so that you'll be sure, know what you are aiming for. Number 5, it is both for domestic and international students in every field of study, every area of study. So it's not just an international scholarship for international students. Even Australian students can also apply to this program. But what I've observed over the past 3 years that they started this scholarship is that some universities actually separate separate the applications. So if you're an international student, your round or the cycle for international student is entirely different from the cycle for domestic students. Again, another thing that they do is that the forms for international student is also somehow different from the forms that domestic students would use. So you don't have to worry about competing with domestic students, because I think that most of the universities have clearly differentiated applications for domestic students and the application for international students. As a matter of fact, there is a particular percentage that the government has mandated must be allocated to international students. So the point is you're not competing with domestic students. You are only competing with other international students, but the scholarship is open both to international students and also local students in Australia. Number 6, it could cover either tuition fees or living expenses or both of them, depending on the university setting. So some of the universities only cover tuition fees in Australia, which is a huge amount of money. I mean, I didn't mention that even though if you want to study in Australia, you should also have at the back of your mind that Australia is one of the costliest countries to study if you don't have a scholarship. I mean, if you have a scholarship, it is one of the best places to go. But if you don't have, it is one of the costliest. And you have to put that into consideration and make sure that you can afford the fees. So, but this particular scholarship covers either your fees or your living allowances, or both, but both, depending on how the university is setting up their own scholarship program. There are universities that give only tuition fees. There are those that cover only living expenses, and there are those that just give everything. And it will be made clear in the application process for you. So when you're applying for an RTP with any university, I think that some of these things are clearly stated right from the one or from the word go, so you know what you're going into. But I mean, if you get a tuition fee scholarship, what is left? You can easily manage yourself, living in any country in the world. If you get your fees covered, because where the expenses, most of the expenses come from is in the school fees. So there are about 42 universities at the moment that are eligible to offer this scholarship. I can't remember the exact number of exact number of universities in Australia, but I think there are over 42 of them, or there are about 42 of them are eligible to offer this scholarship. So that means that if you are seeking admission in Australia, you should look for universities that are offering this program, so that as you are seeking admission in Australia, you could also apply for the scholarship. So overseas student health insurance and relocation may not be included and is not included. So like I said, it depends also on the university. Some of them may actually give you relocation allowances or pay for overseas student health insurance cover. So the overseas student health insurance is compulsory in Australia. As a matter of fact, you cannot get student visa in Australia without your overseas student health insurance cover. So if you get a scholarship that covers it, that's good. But in some cases, they may not be covered. Luckily for us, many years ago, when things were much better, we had both relocation allowance and overseas health insurance cover. But these days, things have changed so much that they've started removing it from some of the scholarships. So but you could still get a scholarship that covers it. Something like the Australian Awards covers everything, including going back to your country, including bringing your family, covers everything. So it depends on what you're applying for. For this one, I think that some of them don't give relocation and don't give overseas health insurance for students. So RTP is valued for at least a minimum of 28,000 Australian dollars, either for stipends or for living expenses. I think the maximum is about 48. So if you're getting just stipend and living expenses, it's about 28,000. And if you're getting school fees, I think it should be the school fees you don't even need to worry about, because the university will automatically offset the bill. So you don't need to know how much it's worth. But for your living expenses, if that's what you get, it's about 28,000 Australian dollars. So interestingly, you can apply to more than one university when you're looking at the research training program. There is no limitation to the number of of universities you can apply to. And it was the same with International Postgraduate Research Scholarship some years ago when I applied. I remember I applied to University of Western Australia, University of New England, La Trobe University, Charles Sturt University. I think I applied also to University of Adelaide or Melbourne. So you see, five scholarship applications, especially for those who apply for one and run away. So when I applied to 5 schools, and I got 2, and then I chose one. The same thing goes with the RTP. You can apply to as many schools as possible, so long as you can get the kind of support you would need that will allow you to apply to as many as such. There are no restrictions to whether you have a first class or not. You know, if you know me, you know that I am an evangelist of applying for scholarship, whether you have first class or not. That is me. I don't believe that it is only first class that will give you scholarship. There are a lot of things that will give you scholarship. And we talked about it last week for those who were here when we talked about the mindset of a scholarship winner. So, but interestingly, it is clearly stated in this program that there is no restriction to being a first-class student before you can apply to this program, unless the university decides to make that rule. Remember, the government gave the money to the universities and also gave the universities the right to set their own rules and regulations on how they want to recruit their students. But the government itself did not make it mandatory that you must have a first class. And as a matter of fact, I don't think you need to have a first class to apply for this scholarship. If you have a good 2-1, if you have a good 2-2, and you have other track records, that are important to winning a scholarship, then you should be able to go for this scholarship. But that does not mean that I'm discouraging first class in any way. No, I'm not discouraging people from making first class. If you can make a first class, go ahead and do it. I'm just talking to people who feel that if you don't have a first class, that they cannot get a scholarship. That it is not true. You can get a scholarship if you don't have a first class. So for this program as well, you can get funded for up to 2 years, maximum of 2 years if you're doing a master's by research. And you can get funded for a maximum, it is usually 3 years, but you could get an extension of 1 year to make it 4 years. So 2 years maximum for masters and 4 years for PhD students, not maximum. So now, how do you apply for this scholarship or this program? That's what we'll look at in this section. So the first thing to do is to actually identify the universities that are offering a research training program in your field. Remember, it is offered in every field. So every university that offers RTP offers it in all the fields that is obtainable, or all the fields that are obtainable in that university. So first thing you need to do is to identify the universities that are offering this program, and then you look for your field of study in that university. So if you can find your field of study in that university, it means that you could apply for this particular program. And usually the information on whether this university is offering RTP or not is found on their funding or scholarship page. Most of the time, the universities have a section where they talk about fees, school fees. What should you pay if you're admitted to a particular program in the university? So information on scholarship are always found on that page where they talk about what is the cost of taking up a course in the university. Sometimes the information is found on a dedicated scholarship page. I think that something like University of Western Australia has a dedicated, even Curtin University also in Australia, these universities have dedicated pages that are completely on scholarship. So it depends on the university and how they build their website. But first thing you need to do to apply for this scholarship is to identify universities that offer RTP in your field of study. Number 2, have a look at the research interests of the universities. Yes, and the researchers in your field at that university. I'm sure that those who have been following us will be grateful for that second point, because I've shown you how to do that. So when you see a university that is offering this program, the next thing you need to do is go to your field, go to your department you're aiming at, look at what is the prevailing research interest in that department, look at their priority in that department, or generally look at the university's strategic goal, because these universities, they have strategic goals that they want to achieve. They have a plan, they have areas of interest, and this is where they want to invest their money into, right? So the reason why that is important is because anybody who comes proposing anything in those areas of interest will be given a priority, will be given a attention, more attention. Like you have more attention given to you, because they want to know, oh, okay, this guy is talking about something that we're interested in. Let's see, what does he have? What is he saying? Is this something that we can do and all that? But if you just propose anything without thinking about, one, the interest of the university, and then secondly, the interest of the researcher that you want to work with, then you somehow may find it difficult. But, and again, this is not a general thing. There are some universities that may not be interested in any, I mean, they don't care whatever you're proposing. They just want you to propose something good. So in a situation where you cannot find the university's priority areas, you can now narrow down to individual researchers' priority areas. Why that is important is because eventually you will need a researcher to support you. And if you are proposing something in an area of interest with a particular researcher, it will be easier for him to support your application. And so when you are able to, when you are done with, finding out what is the priority of the university or the particular researcher in your field, then you have to find a topic and develop a concept note. A concept note is the first thing you send to your intending supervisor or potential supervisor. And it doesn't have to be long. It could be just a one-page document. It could just be 1.5-page document that highlights the things you want to do as part of your research, either for master's or for PhD, that you're going to use to introduce yourself to him or her, to say, okay, I want to apply for RTP. This is what I want to work on. And I want to know if it is of interest to you and if you'll be willing to support my application. So the third thing you need to do is to develop a concept note. Number 4, when you're done with the concept note, make a contact with a potential supervisor. We dealt with this as a topic on its own, so I won't waste time on it. So now that you've done this, what will you need to go ahead and make your application? First of all, usually the application is made on one, I mean, both the application for admission and the RTP scholarship is usually made on one application form. So there are usually not 2 separate application forms, like admission separately and the scholarship separately for RTP. So it is the same form you're using to apply for admission that you also use to apply for RTP. So you have to be sure that you treat it, I mean, don't just look at it like you're applying for admission, because you're applying for the both at the same time. So treat it with all matter of importance, treat it with all urgency, like this is your, I mean, one-time application. You wouldn't have another time to apply for RTP separately and handle it that way. So you need an application form, which is usually found online on the university website, that allows you to apply for admission and for the scholarship at the same time. 2, you will need a detailed CV. Now, remember, this is a research scholarship. It's not a TOTS program. It's a full research scholarship. So you will need a detailed CV that shows who you are, tells who you are, promotes your capability and whatever it is that you're bringing to the table. Number 2, you need a research proposal, because now you have discussed with the potential supervisor. You've sent your concept note to him or her, and he or she has agreed. Next thing that you need to do, that you will need, is a research proposal. So you need to develop a research proposal based on what you have agreed with the supervisor to be. And you need a personal statement if applicable. Some of them may not ask for personal statement, motivation letter, and stuff like that. But if they do ask for it, then or if they did ask for it, then you have to make those things available, as well as things that you will need to apply. Number 3, you need to gather together, put in order your list of research publications. And this is also important because you're applying for a research scholarship. So even though your list of publications will be on your CV, usually they ask you for a separate list of publications. Reason being that they will consider your CV and score your CV. Do you have publication? Yes. Do you have awards? Yes. Did you did you have any leadership positions in the past? Yes. Did you volunteer? Yes. Did you do this and that? They will tick off that, and then they will score you on your CV. So they will score you maybe for 1 point on research publications being on your CV, but then they will also take your research publications separately and compare it with the research publications of other applicants. So they will look at how many publications have you had in peer-reviewed journals, how many publications have you had in conference proceedings, how many book chapters have you written, how many monographs, all those things, they will look at it. Then they will count, and then they will score. When they finish with that, they will now go back again to each of the publications. They will now look at where did you publish the journals and all that, and then they will look at the relevance of each publication to what you're coming to do, or just generally look at the relevance. Maybe look at impact factor, look at citations and stuff like that. So you need to have the list of your publications well prepared, arranged, and ready for them. Then you need reference letters from referees, sometimes 2 or 3, depending on what the school wants. And then you will also need a letter of support from your potential supervisor. You have contacted him or her, he or she has agreed. Next thing is a letter from him or her saying that I have reviewed this candidate's capability. I am happy with whatever he's bringing on board, and I will be available to supervise his work. So you need a letter from your potential supervisor to make an application. So let's move on. Certified copies of your transcripts and certificates are very important and relevant for you to apply. And of course, these days, you know that I think even as before I got my scholarship, I remember I used to send these things directly from the university, or I think I got a hard copy that I photocopied. Always go to court to certify them. But these days, you don't need to send, I think most times through the post or something like that, but you need to still have them certified. So you go to court, go to a lawyer, and they will certify that what you have is original, a copy of your originals. So you need that. Number 6, you need to have English language proficiency evidence. Now, many universities in Australia, or let me not say many, sorry. Let me say some universities in Australia don't ask for IELTS from students that are coming from Nigeria or maybe Ghana, because these countries use English as the official language. I think English is official language in Ghana. I'm not sure, but at least for Nigeria, English is official language, and some universities don't always ask for any evidence of proficiency if you tell them that you are from Nigeria. But you could provide a letter from the university that says that, yes, this is it, you did your studies in English language. But I always advise students, 2 things I always advise students is this: get that letter ready, send it to them, and also ask them if it will be sufficient, or if they want you to provide a test score, so that you don't lose your opportunity. So if they tell you, oh, okay, your English language letter from your university is enough for us to consider you, then fine, you don't have any problem. But if they say we need an English language test, then you go ahead and do it. So it depends on the university that you are applying to. Okay, but just get ready for it, that it could be one of the things that you may need. And then when you have all these things, just gather your documents, organize them, and then submit your application. Usually you submit via an online form or online application portal, or you send through to an email that may be provided for you where you attach all your documents to them and send to them. So I think basically these are things that you need to do to apply for RTP. So what do you need to win? What do you need to win? Because it's not just about applying. What do you need to win? So let's discuss that quickly. First thing is that you need a good research proposal. Your proposal must be good, must be powerful, must target something that is, like I said, relevant to the university or relevant to a particular researcher. If you have a good proposal that is a strong researcher in the university is interested in, and that researcher likes whatever you wrote and puts in a comment for you, it could just be it, because the university respects such people. But you need to, first of all, impress that particular professor, impress that particular potential supervisor. So you need a very good research proposal to be able to win this scholarship. So you need to have a very good CV. I did a post on Facebook just about 30 minutes before we started, and I was talking about volunteering. Many people these days don't volunteer because, I mean, everybody's after money and all that. But what made me to write that post today was because of Chevening Scholarship, which we had come up I think came up in our last session. People were asking about work and all that. So it got me thinking, really, about the issue of volunteering, because when you look at the Chevening Scholarship program, they ask for work experience, 2 years of work experience. But interestingly, they are happy to accept your volunteering years as work experience. They're also happy to accept any job you did, any volunteering you did as a student as work experience. Now, these things, when they go into your CV, they make a huge difference. They make a huge difference. I'd volunteered for as many organizations as possible, both online and physically. I've tried to take up leadership positions wherever I could, when I was in school and even after that. So you need to have a very strong CV that shows that you have developed some skills over the years, transferable skills, technical skills, leadership experience, volunteering experience, a lot of other things, that will actually make your CV, very, very strong. So you need a very strong CV to be able to win this scholarship. And so what that means is that you need to just build your CV, give yourself chance to take up opportunities and work on them, and use them to boost the value of your CV. And good publication lists, like I mentioned. For publication lists, there is no hard and fast rule to it, really. If you have good publications, you have good publications. But the truth is, you don't know what I have. You may be boasting you have 10 publications published here, published there, and all that. But maybe I have 15 or 20 publications, So as much as you can, just make sure you have good publications. I can't tell you how to do. The only thing is, if you have opportunity to publish good papers, well-written papers, relevant papers, publish them in good journals, then you could have a good list of publications. But you can't tell what the other person has. Your competitors, you can't tell what they have. Because I remember when I first applied to UNE, my potential supervisor told me that my list of publications, even though I had some publications, but that my list of publications were not enough to get me, the scholarship, and they gave it to some other person. And then over the years, I tried to build my list of publications, and eventually when I got it, I realized that I think I was told that my list of publications was the second best compared to every other student that applied at that time, and I got, the scholarship. So it is very, very important, that if you will win this scholarship, you need to be. And I tell students this, even all the students that come to Scholarship Mastery Academy, I tell them, go and start building your publications. Go and start building your publications. If you don't know how to do it, seek help, ask for support. Ask your supervisor at the university. Let them show you. If they don't have the time to show you, look for someone you will pay and let them show you how to do it. If you don't have the money to do it, go and read the materials and do the hard work yourself. But if you want to win, make sure you have good list of publications. Good recommendations from your referees is very, very important. If your referees don't score you high, and if your potential supervisor doesn't write well about you, of which you would not have the problem, because I don't see any reason why someone would say, okay, come and work with me, and then go and write something that will not promote you. So the major problem is who you're bringing on board to write your reference letter from Nigeria or from Ghana or from wherever it is you're applying, from. Can that person really, really say something nice about you that will convince people to consider you, So you have to be very careful with your choice of referees to make sure that they have good recommendations for you. So, and you can see in the list that I've provided here, we've not talked about what your class of degree is and all that. Because at this stage, we're talking about research, they are looking at your ability to think critically, your ability to analyze things, your ability to be independent, your ability to work in a team. All these things are the things they are looking at. Your skills, the skills you've picked up from your first degree if you're going for a master's program, and the skills you've picked up from your first degree and master's if you're going for a PhD program. These are more important to the guys than many other things. So I think that is where we will end today's presentation, and then we will go to questions. We don't have any demonstration today because I don't think there is any need for demonstration today. But if a need comes for demonstration as the questions come in, then we will do that. But for now, let's take some questions. So if you have any question, can I see them in the chat? Or you can unmute and ask a question if you want as well.
Hello, sir.
Good evening. Okay.
Good evening. Thank you. Is this Sunday that's talking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
How are you, Sunday?
Sir, I'm fine, sir.
What's your question?
Yes, sir. I just want to know if you can list some of those potential investors that who can easily gain those scholarship. I don't know if you can list few of them for us, so we'll just enlist them down.
Okay, so what I will do is I will share, let me stop sharing my screen, and then I will share the link to all the universities that are offering RTP. Drop it in the comments for everybody to see. So that's the link to the, or maybe I can share, let me share my screen and show it to you. Okay. So that everybody can see. So this is, if you look up here, you will see the link to all the universities that offer RTP. The link is higher-education.gov.au/higher-education-providers-research-block-grants. So that's the link to the universities, and these are all the universities: Central Queensland University, Charles Darwin, Charles Sturt, Curtin, Deakin, Edith Cowan, Griffith, James Cook, La Trobe, Macquarie, Monash, Murdoch, Queensland University of Technology, Royal Melbourne Institute, Southern Cross, Swinburne, Australian National University, Flinders University, University of Adelaide, Melbourne, University of New England, University of Queensland, Sydney, University of Western Australia, Federation University, University of Canberra, Newcastle University, New South Wales University, South Australia University, Southern Queensland, Tasmania, University of Technology, Sydney, University of Sunshine Coast, Western Sydney, Wollongong, Victoria, Australia Catholic University, Bond University, University of Notre Dame, Torrance University, MCD, University of Divinity. So those are the schools that offer the program. And in the chat, let's see, someone says, thanks, Doc. That's Godwin. Please, how do I know the research interest of an institution? So the research interest of an institution is going to be on their website, and usually the easiest way to find it is to look for information on management or strategic plans. So you can just Google research. If you go to the university, you can Google their research strategic plan. Search on the website, rather on their website, research strategic plan. It could give you options on how to find the area of interest of the university. Sometimes the departments or the faculties, as soon as you log on to the web page of a department or log on to the web page of a faculty, you will see the information readily available to you, what their research interest is or are. If they have more than one, you will see it clear there. So it's not difficult to find. If you cannot find it, search on the website of the university. Number two, must a concept note have preliminary budget? Not necessarily. It's too short to have a preliminary budget. So I think a concept note should just have a kind of a brief introduction on what you want to do, why you want to do it, and how you plan to do it, and if possible as well, what you will achieve from the project. So if you can highlight those things, it should be enough about concept. You don't need to put a budget in your full proposal. Then you can put a budget. Thank you, Sunday. Can student copy of transcript be used? I think so. Basically, you can use student copy of your transcript if they need. What is it called? If they need any official transcript, they will let you know. But just make sure you certify it. So go ahead with your question. Who was that? You can go ahead with your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Please, I want to ask because I heard you talking about publications,
yeah,
and that the publications are very important when it comes to application. As a publication factor, index or factor, I don't know how I'm going to put it now. I don't know, this publication, this impact factor, so to speak, have any implication on most of our these applications that we make to these prospective supervisors. For example, I want to use myself as an example. I have some publications in some not too good journals. For example, I have a publication in one pediatric journal.
Yes.
And I also have about 2 or 3 publications in a journal that does not really have impact factor, specifically science domain.
Yeah.
And I already published in some of these journals.
Emmanuel, I think I've lost you, but I get what you mean. If you can hear me, I think I get what you mean. Your question is, does the impact factor of the journal affect your scoring or your ranking in your list of publication? I think I will say yes. I will not say no. These days, impact factor is becoming very, very, very important. And like you mentioned, the issue of predatory journal is also a problem. So anybody can cook up something and say, hey, we're a journal publishing organization, come and publish with us, and you pay them. And, after 1 week, they will tell you, okay, your paper is accepted. They collect your money. And then after another week, they send you something and say, this is your published paper. There is a lot of things that are going on in the publication field that makes it also hard. It affects us who are Africans, really, because one, we don't have money to publish, and two, the many researchers, many supervisors in Africa don't know the importance of impact factor and all that. So it affects us. But at your stage, at your level, if you're going for a PhD, it is very, very difficult to have lot of impact factor publications. So that will give you an upper hand. And that, I'm trying to say this to let you know that even though those are kind of problems, it is still not a very big challenge, because you're just finishing your master. You just did for example, if you're going for a master's by research program under RTP, you're only going with your first degree. So how many publications do you have at that stage? And if you have any publication, how many would it, where would you have published them at that stage? Because it's just an undergraduate work. Unless you have a very good supervisor, who knows how these things work, to now publish them in a very high impact factor. Now, if you're going also for a PhD, it's still the same thing. You are not considered an expert, and yet you are still someone who is just coming up. So you may not be able to publish in high impact journals, high impact factor journals rather. Whatever it is you can do to publish, just go ahead and publish. Let it be that you have a publication to present. I think that's what is most important. If you have money to publish in journals that the impact factor is high. And let me also mention that it's not all high impact factor journals that require money. Some of them are actually free, but then the getting into it is now the problem, because you need to have a very good work before they can accept your work, because it's free. Finding those ones also is another work, which we don't have time to discuss here, but there are a lot of them, a lot of journals that are out there, and they are free, and they have very good impact factor. So if you don't mind, you can also try those ones, but let impact factor not hinder you. The only thing is, if you can avoid predatory journals, do as much as you can to avoid them. And Bidemi, most times people in the line of business or entrepreneurial journey, what aspect of research can they write on, sir? Just my little question. Well, if you're a business person and you want to continue in business, then you look at what is happening in the entrepreneurship department or business management department, or those areas: business management, business administration, entrepreneurship, innovation aspects of the university, and see what they are doing, and that will give you an idea of what to look at or what to develop. It's not my area of expertise, so I cannot give you an example of what you should write about. But I think that the easiest way to find out what you could write about is go to the Department of Entrepreneurship or Business Management or Business Administration of that university, and like we say, look at what they are working at, look at the supervisor, the researchers that are there and what they've been working on. That will give you an idea of what to do. I just found a research interest in ECU that I am also interested in, but the publication factor is a problem. So if you're going for masters, I need to point this out. If you're going for masters, publication is important as well, but may not be as very important as for PhDs. So Christopher, I know that you're looking for a master's opportunity. You could just try it. Your first degree is a publication. Let me mention, if you did a very good work in your first degree, even though it's not published, but in your list of publication, you need to mention your thesis title, your first degree thesis title, and list it one as publication. Just put it there. and concluded with a first degree thesis or bachelor's degree thesis. And that's it. And sometimes some students don't know. There is this mistake some students make. They finish a first degree or finish a master's and they go away. And they don't know that their supervisors had published their work. The work they did during their first degree and the one they did during their master's had been published by their supervisors. They'll be roaming about. There was a recent case in Australia, University of New England. A lady applied for, I think, RTP in University of New England. And everything was superb. The proposal was powerful, was something the university was interested in. And everything was just okay, but she didn't have any publication. But the irony of the whole thing was that her master's degree work had been published by her supervisor. She didn't know. She did not know that those were published. So some students go away from university, and then after many years, they come back, they say they're looking for a scholarship, and they don't know, they've never had any relationship with their previous supervisor to know what is happening and all that. So if you're one of those students, you can go back to your supervisor and ask him or her, sir, ma, was there any publication from my first degree? I would like to have it if there is any publication. The thing is that some of the supervisors don't put your name in the application. I mean, in the publication rather, which is a very big problem or a very bad thing that many people do. But if you're lucky and your name is in the publication, then you can answer. Yes, you can ask your supervisor to see if they have published your master's work or your first degree work in any way. And if they've not, you can start building your publication with them. Tell them, sir, look at what I'm working towards. So is there any publication that I can go back like a mad person and tell them, is there any publication that I can summarize for us to publish? I need publications for my research scholarship application in the future and all that. If they're good supervisors, they will oblige you. Jude, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for coming on. Please, I need you to expatiate on building one's list of research publications, especially for people in science, since most research publications are a result of research carried out. Yes, so there's nothing there to explain. The research publications are a result of your research that you carried out. Yeah, so publish them, unless you're talking about how to publish them. So I'm not sure what you mean by expatiating on your research publications. Building your research publications is by publishing them in journal articles. If you're talking about how to publish them, then that one is another story on the step-by-step process on how to publish it. But you can publish your research work, the ones you have carried out. You can publish research reviews. You can do reviews with your friends. You can do reviews with your supervisor on any topic of interest to him or to you. And I think I've mentioned this several times also here on this webinar. So publish the works that you did during your first degree or your master's. Collaborate with your supervisor. Tell them you would like to get them published. They may ask you to pay because some of them require you to pay, but you need to summarize it first. Go through the process of summarizing and fine-tuning it before you can submit and do all the review process that is involved. You can do the same thing with also literature. So even your literature, the chapter of your work that is called literature review, you can summarize everything you wrote there into a journal publications, and then you submit it. If it's good enough, it will be accepted. So Jude, I hope that makes clears your doubts. Nelson, please, Doc, what's your advice concerning publications in institutional journals in Nigerian universities for someone aspiring for a postdoc? I think the institutional journals have value or have respect more than predatory journals or journals that are owned by some organization somewhere or somebody coming together and putting up something together, So the only thing that may be troubling to me is the quality in terms of, Nigerian universities are still like, of course, what it is like in Nigerian universities. But still, it will be better than predatory journal. So go ahead with it if that's what you can afford. But if you can make effort to publish outside the country, to have a kind of international presence, I mean, there's no hard and fast rule to it really, because if your paper is good, then it is good. So don't compel yourself to say, okay, you must publish internationally. I was lucky to publish internationally, during my time, but everybody may not be that lucky. If it is Nigerian universities that you can publish with, go ahead and do it. Some of them will still have value, but maybe what you will do is look for universities that are known, well known, to publish with. Elliot, I didn't know too. Unfortunately, my supervisor informed me it was published. Great, that is great. So you have at least one publication now. Wow. So add that to your CV, and yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm happy to hear that. So these are all the questions we have for today. Oh, tropical zoology. Wow. Sounds like a good journal. Okay, what I mean is...
So I also have another question.
So just hold on. What I mean is, if you have maybe one publication from your previous work that is considered not enough by the institution you apply to, what do you do to build your list of publications? Oh, okay. So what you do to build is to continue to publish. I just mentioned what to do. One, because your supervisor has students, right? There are some supervisors that have many students in the past, and they have theses from these students lying dormant, lying on the tables in their office. They are not using it for anything. They are just there 2 years back, 3 years back, 4 years back. If you are a hardworking student, you can go to your supervisor and tell him, these student reports that are lying here, can I convert them to journal publications, and then you can put my name in it. As a matter of fact, that was how I got my publications increased. I was a student, so I didn't have I didn't have my own students to convert their works to publications. So what I was doing was, I'll go to my supervisor and I'll pick up his students' papers or thesis or whatever it is from previous years, and then I will summarize them into a journal article, and I will submit, and he will pay. So eventually, my name, the student that did the work, and my supervisor's name will all be in the article. So that was one thing I was doing. The second thing I was doing was I collaborated with my fellow MSc students. Luckily for me, I had colleagues who were, visionary. Who wanted this thing, wanted scholarship, and wanted to grow. So what we're doing was coming together, and someone will come up with a topic, and then we will kind of break down the topic into smaller, parts, and everybody will make a contribution to the whole work, and then we'll pull it together, and then we publish. Sometimes they are accepted, sometimes they are not accepted. And one that we wrote many years ago is still getting cited till today. We wrote that paper maybe around 2008, 2009, but I think it should be one of my most cited papers. And we wrote it as students. All of us in that paper were all students. So collaborate with your fellow master student, collaborate with your supervisor, collaborate with any lecturer that likes you, not necessarily your supervisor, that likes you and wants to help. Understand some of these things and would want to help, and tell them, see, this is what I want to do. Can I summarize these materials so we can publish them? You just put my name in it, and then you pay for it. That will do. So, Grace, please, when is the opening date for the application? Okay, yeah, so I forgot to mention this. The opening date for RTP is usually between April and October. As a matter of fact, many of them are open now. Many of them are open. Some of them will close end of this month. and most of them will close between October ending and maybe some may close in November. I'm not too sure. There are 2 rounds of the RTB, depending on the universities. Again, some universities run 2 rounds. I know that University of New England runs 2 rounds. One ends around May, June. Another one ends in September. And you can apply to any of those, depending on which one you meet up with. So between April to October, many universities are open with their RTP application. So if there is any person interested in applying, this is the best time to look out for them, because the universities decide when is their closing date. I can't tell you a standard closing date like some other kind of scholarships that have a standard closing date. So you have to check the university to make sure that their closing date has not passed. Emmanuel, thank you so much, sir. On the issue of English proficiency examination for RTP, is IELTS mandatory as criteria for selection? I mentioned it when I was presenting that it depends on the university. Some universities will not ask you for IELTS if you are coming from Nigeria, and if you have a letter that says you studied in English language. Some universities, so you need to ask, you need to find out from the university before you go ahead, or you have your IELTS ready. Simple thing to do is just to send an email telling them you have a letter of English language proficiency. Will it be enough to serve as a requirement, to meet the requirement for English language for the application? And they will let you know. Could you explain impact factor, please? So impact factor is a number that is given to a journal based on the impact the papers published in it are making. So in a journal, you have different publications, right? You have different articles. Say in one journal edition or one issue of a journal, you could have 25 articles published in it, or 20 or 10, some even 5, some 20, 15, depending on what they want. So now, how many of those papers have been cited by other papers, other journals, other papers? I think that's one of the most important way of calculating the impact factor. So the impact factor is based on the citation that the articles in a journal receive over the year. So it is a year, every year they reassess all the journals again and then check their impact factors. I mean, how much citation that they have received for that year, and then we will now use that to determine the impact factor. And the impact factor is what they use to rank the journals. So the papers with the greatest number of citations will receive the highest impact factor. And the papers, or the journals with highest number of citation will receive a higher journal impact factor. And the more your impact factor increases, the more you are recognized as a powerful journal. And so that's how the impact factor works. It is dependent on how much citation the papers in a particular journal received for a particular year. But these days they use it for many things. They use it for even research grants. If you're a professor and you're applying for a research grant, they want to see if you're publishing in a high impact factor journals and all that. Okay, 0.571 impact factor. Not bad, but it's low. It's low, Mr. Elliott. For 0.571, it's a bit low, but it's not bad because there are papers that don't even have up to 0.5. So there are papers that have 5.0 impact factor rather. There are papers that have 4.5. There are papers that have 2.5. There are papers that have 1 point something. And but for you to have 0.5 is a good thing. It's a good thing. So do we have any more questions? Okay. Okay, there is no more questions. So let's round up our presentation. All right. So, like I mentioned last week, Scholarship Mastery Academy is currently taking in people who are interested in getting coaching and consultation to prepare quality scholarship applications. Remember, we don't give scholarship, but we help to prepare students for scholarship. So if you're interested in getting coaching or getting consultation, mentoring in order to help you prepare a strong application, then it's time for you to join Scholarship Mastery Academy and get all those. So I know that some of the questions that some guys have been asking is what is involved. So let me just share with you what is involved. So in Scholarship Mastery Academy, we do coaching and mentoring, and we do admission support as well. So in the coaching and mentoring, you receive access to a private support group. You have 6 calls, one-on-one calls over a period of 3 months. So that's 2 calls in a month with me of a minimum of 30 minutes. And in that call, we do a lot of assessment. We review tasks that's been given to you. And we just talk about your journey, where are the difficulties, where there is need for more support and all that. And 6 calls, take place in a period of 3 months that you're part of the academy. And then for that period also, every application documents from your CV to your reference letter to your personal statement, motivation letter, resume, and all that, you get all that, even if it's 100 applications that you're making at that time. We will work with you to review your application document for any scholarship you're applying for. You'll be first to know. There are some opportunities that you will be the first one to know, and possibly only those people in the group. At the moment, we share opportunities with the general public group, but in the private group, you still get to know first about certain opportunities. Then you receive support also in searching for because I know where the opportunities are. To tell you the truth, I know where the opportunities are, but I mean, I have a job I'm doing, and I can't leave my job because somebody needs me to provide him with where the opportunities are. No, I cannot do it. So, but I know where they are, and we share it with those who are part of the program. And the investment is not cheap. It's $105,000 for 3 months. If you want to arrange a plan, then we can discuss that, but it is 105, and this is not much. If you convert it to dollars or to euro, you know that it's not much. It's nothing. If you're really interested in this for over a period of 3 months, I'm not sure anybody. I know other people who provide certain services like this. I know what they charge, but I'm only charging because I need you to be committed to it. I need you to be committed to it. I have people that I've worked with in terms of searching for scholarship and providing them with all the information only for them to waste my time. And I am very, very busy. I'm not even after the money. If I tell you how much I earn, then you know that I'm not after the money. I'm only after your commitment. So if you go and look for money and make a commitment with your money, then you'll be more serious with the program. And then the easier or quicker it will be for you to get a scholarship. You may not get it in 3 months, but the fact is by the time you're done in 3 months, you will know what it takes to win a scholarship. And no scholarship will be too hard for you to prepare for. So if you go for the admission support, you will get guidance on course selection. Like if you're confused about what course to go for and all that, we'll work with you on that, and the guidance on university selection as well. Review of your application material, but this is your admission materials, not scholarship materials if you go for admission support. And then Q&A support as well. We'll be there to take questions anytime, any day. And I'm even doing this for a lot of people at the moment without even thinking twice about it. But if you need a dedicated time to whatever it is you're doing, then it's going to cost 50,000 Naira. And this is for 1 month. The admission support is for 1 month. Within the period of 1 month, all the applications you'll be making within that 1 month will give you this attention. But for the coaching and mentoring is for 3 months, and that's what is involved. So, but if you're not able to afford this, there's still no problem. There's still no problem. You can continue to look for. You can continue to look for the free things, free tips we share, and free opportunities that we share on our platforms on Facebook, on Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn. If you send me a LinkedIn request and I accept, then you'll be able to see some of my posts. Even though I use LinkedIn for more of professional, my job-related activity, other kind of things, and not specifically. Sometimes I post there, but mostly on Facebook and on the Telegram group. If you're interested, really, you join the Telegram group. Is the easiest way to get information that we share, and they're free. So if you don't have money to go through the coaching, mentoring, or go through admission support, you can still enjoy some of the free things we do live. This webinar is free as well. So for the remaining 2 weeks of September, we will continue with a second scholarship program in Australia called Destination Australia, which is mainly for people who are into thought courses. So if you are a thought course person, you could join us next week and receive more information about this one. And then in 26th September, we will look at DAD scholarship. DAD is one of the largest scholarships in the world in Germany, and many of them are currently on now. So if you really want to apply to the program in Germany, then you should also attend on the 26th. So these are the two that we will do for the remaining 2 weeks, and then we'll call September quit, and we'll start thinking of October. All right, so thank you very much, and this is where we'll call it a day. I will see you next week.